Going to talk about supply curve here and movements along the curve versus shifts of the curve. So let's graph it. Vertical axis with price, horizontal axis with quantity. Positive relationships, we're looking at a positively sloped supply curve. Reason being, at a higher price, I'm willing to give you more quantity. So a price high, I'll sell you quantity high. I'll make more money. If you don't want to pay me, payment low, I will give you quantity low. Why? Because I don't want to sell my goods for nothing. Alright? The more you're willing to pay me, the more I'm willing to supply. Let's say with labor, if you're willing to pay me a higher price, I'm willing to work more hours. Alright, let's just erase that. Don't worry, all this stuff's in your book. I expect you to do the reading. You can't get away. There's no shortcuts in this class. Some of you are seeing the shortcut scores in homework. So let's do this. Remember, this is zero. This is a lot when we're talking about quantity, okay? So if I move to the left, that's a decrease. So if I move this way, that's a decrease. If I move that way, that's an increase. Keep that in mind, because if you say, hey, supply's going to go up, you're going to say up, that's actually a decrease, all right? So let's do that. Let's do a decrease, a movement to the left towards zero of supply. So that's a supply decrease. Let's do a movement to the right, just for illustration purposes, that's a supply increase. Now, why is this a supply decrease? Well, if you're looking at, let's say, this quantity right here, and you move back to say this quantity right, you're moving to the left, or if you move to this quantity, you're moving to the right, you measure the increases and decreases by the quantity supplied, okay? This, for purposes of your homework, if you're moving to the left, you think about it, something becomes more scarce, it's actually more rare, so it's more valuable, there's upward pressure on price. And an increase in supply, if you go to the right, there's actually a downward pressure on price. You're welcome, that'll help you on the homework. My little hints, thank you for doing the actual lecture. So these are shifts in supply. Now, if you came in here like a knucklehead and said, oh, hey man, this is a supply increase. No, sir. This is a supply decrease. No, ma'am. No, it's not. I don't want up and down. I want left and I want right. Because one of them's moving towards zero, one of them's moving towards a lot. Okay? Well, why do these things happen? Well, listen. If you're just moving on this line from, say, point A to point B, or point B to point C, you're just moving along this line, that's what we call movement along the curve. And the only thing that changes there, delta is change, is price. We're going back to the supply schedule, that table where we plotted in the first video, or excuse me, with supply would be the second video. And the only thing we're changing is the price from, say, 1 to 2 to 3. Okay, dollars for a bag of Skittles. So the only thing when you're moving along the curve is change in price. Where it gets complicated is if we're looking at shifts of the curve, which are these shift to the left, shift to the right, not up and down. Don't get in that habit. It's a bad habit. It's how you lose points on the test and the homework. Shifts in supply happen for a handful of reasons. The first one is that there is a change in the input prices. So change, delta again is change. This is change. Okay, get used to it. Change in input costs or input prices. So let's say your business, all you do is make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So you basically have 4 inputs. You have labor, you have bread, you have jelly, you have peanut butter. Well, if peanut butter all of a sudden became really, really expensive, does that change your input prices? Yeah, initially you won't be able to make as many sandwiches because your prices don't go up as quick as your cost of your inputs. So you have to make less sandwiches, so your supply actually moves to the left, which puts upward pressure on your PB&J prices. And then once the PB&J prices actually rise, and you can afford the more expensive peanut butter, and eventually you can shift back to where you were. But this is macroeconomics, like basically the first class. Let's not try to do 8 steps at once. So let's just go ceteris paribus. Not a lot of crazy stuff's happening. We're moving things one thing at a time. Remember, the economy's really moving like this, but in this course we're taking snapshot. All right. You take my advanced economics classes, I'll start moving things for you. So shifts in supply can happen because of changes in input prices. They can also happen for changes in delta in technology. Technology? I can spell, yay. You ever been to Panera Bread recently? There's a Panera Bread on the east side of Spartanburg, and they literally are giving people cookies if they use the touchscreen ordering system, which has been a little bit funny during the pandemic. But if you use the touchscreen to order, which used to be a person, right? They'll give you a cookie. It's like we're Pavlov's dogs. We're like little animals that they're training to use tech. Why do we want to use tech? Because if I can hit a touch screen, if I'm touching right here on you, all right, on your screen right here, all right, if I do that, then all of a sudden I don't have to pay that person $8, $9, $10, $15 an hour to take my order when I can just get a machine to do that. So a lot of ways, you know, hey, you know, you want to drive up your cost but not your quality, you'll be replaced as an input. All right, so changes in technology. By the way, BMW has robots that are making cars. Don't you think Burger King could get them to make a Whopper? You ever think about that when you say 5 for 15? Yeah, I can have a robot for $14 an hour. Robot is there 24/7, will work anytime, never backtalks my customers, won't spit in a burger. You tell me who I should hire. Changes in technology. That's your little lesson for the day. Changes in technology, changes in expectations. Just like consumer can have change in expectations, we talk about the news stories and everything, producers can have changes in expectations. Car dealerships do this a lot. If they expect the economy to be strong, they will order more cars for people to buy. If they expect the economy to be weak, they will buy less cars for people to buy. So that can affect your supply either going towards the right, towards a lot, so an increase, let's say buying more cars to have on your lot, or during economic downturns, that can affect like a leftward movement towards zero, and then the prices actually go up because they're more scarce, but they're not anticipating many people coming through and buying cars, okay? So changes in expectations can be there. And then of course the change in the number of sellers. So if you're in an area where you have like a vibrant mall and it starts to go really poorly economically speaking, stores are shutting down, you can expect supply curves to move to the left and prices to go up. If you're in an area that's growing and they put in a new outlet mall or something, and you can expect the supply curve to go to the right, actually prices become more competitive. That's why we like things to be pretty economically developed and vibrant in the economy. Whew. So there's your shifts along, or excuse me, the shifts in the supply curve versus the movement along the curve, which is on the curve. The only thing that's changing there is price, but things like input prices, technology, expectations, number of sellers can shift the supply curve. I think that's a good spot to stop this video, and we'll come back and we'll put these two crazy kids, supply and demand, on the same graph and see what happens.